Hi there, it's Laura here from iHeart Planners, and today I'm going to share with you a couple of projects that I have recently made to help with back to school time, to make our lives easier. And this could really apply to you whether your kids are going to go to traditional school or do virtual at home school or homeschool. Any of the things, these projects will help you. And I want to give a huge thanks to Cricut, who is sponsoring this video for us today. And I want to remind you, if you haven't already done so, please take a second and click subscribe because we have lots more great videos coming your way. So the projects that I am going to be sharing with you, and I'll be sharing a step-by-step in-depth tutorial so you can make one for yourself, is this routine chart. I have one for my son and I'm making one for my daughter as well. It went right on this acrylic clipboard that I got from Amazon. I used, of course, my Cricut machine, which is so easy to use, and the Cricut software to create this whole design, super customizable, so you can put whatever your routine is. You can even make less steps of the routine or more, personalize it with your child's name. And so that's the first thing that I've done. And then I'm going to put a little nail in the wall, or you could also use command strips if you don't want to put a hole in your wall to hang in my child's bedroom. So it's super easy at their level. Also, we'll be using dry erase markers. They work perfectly on here in order for them to complete the chart. And then in addition to that, I wanted a solution for all the papers that seem to gather on all the flat surfaces of our home. And this was my solution, also using the clipboards and Cricut vinyl. So I have created these clipboards here with different categories for the different types of paper that we have laying around. So I have one for each of my kids' school papers, coupons, because honestly, I just looked around and I realized what we have laying around half the time is just coupons that we might want to use when we're out, and then a miscellaneous one. And I'm going to be hanging these in our entryway area so that we don't have to have all of those papers laying around anymore. And again, we'll just hook them with the nail or a command hook, and we'll be able to access those. And what I love about this is that it's easy to take down. If you want to take it somewhere, put something on it, super easy to put back up, and it keeps it off of the flat surfaces. So I'll be showing you exactly how we do all this. So let's go ahead and dive in. So for this project, first of all, I'm going to use this acrylic clipboard that I got on Amazon. I'll link to it. I know it's hard to see because it's completely clear. And one of the cool things about this, which I have already tested, is it works perfectly as a dry erase surface. So in this routine chart, she can check off with either a dry erase or a wet erase marker, and it works perfectly. Then I'm going to need vinyl. So I'm going to put the chart on with vinyl, and obviously with that to apply it, I'll need transfer tape, and that's really all you need for this project. So it's pretty simple. It doesn't require a lot of materials. So let's go ahead and get started. So I have opened up Design Space here on my computer. All I did was click New, so I haven't really done anything. We just got ourselves a blank canvas. So the first thing that I'm going to do is measure this so I know what space we are working with. If you get a different clipboard, obviously your measurements may be different. It's just shy of 9 inches. And then when I measure up and down, I am starting below this clip part right here because obviously I don't want any of the vinyl to go up above that. And that is really about just over 11.5 inches. The first thing that I'm going to do, and don't skip this step, I know from experience, it is very helpful to go ahead and draw yourself a box of that size. First of all, that's going to help you know exactly what space you're working with while you're designing it. And then it's going to act as a weeding and placement box. And you'll see as we go through the project how that is helpful when we are weeding it and when we are placing it on the clipboard. Now, I've placed the square here, and then what I like to do, since we already measured, is I'm just going to click this little lock icon right here so that means it's no longer a square. I can freely move both sides, and then I'm going to type in my measurements. And I'm going to go just a little below 11.5 because I know I don't want it just right up against the top of the clipboard. So we're going to just do probably 11, I think should be fine. Okay, and then I'm going to duplicate this and bring it in slightly to where I actually make a box that could be cut out. And you'll see how much that helps with the weeding when we get to that. Just trying to position it. It doesn't have to be perfect. You'll actually take the very edge off anyway. So I wouldn't worry about it being perfect. So I'm going to change this temporarily to, instead of cut, to draw. Now, we're not actually drawing it. However, it helps me be able to see what I'm doing a lot more to not have to mess with that gray color. So we will go change that at the end. But for right now, I like to change it to draw while I work. So I will be giving you this file in Design Space so that you can start with what I have, but I want to show you this in case you have like a different size of clipboard, or you want to put it on an actual marker board, or you want a different number of steps in your tour chart. If you get this exact same clipboard and you want the exact same number of steps, you can just use what I give you and just change the words on it. Okay, so I'm lining that up to where this square is even with the grid. It just makes it easier for me to see what I'm doing and kind of line things up. Then the next text I'm going to add is our title. Okay, so then I'm going to change it to the font that I want, which is called Baby Steps. This is included with the Cricut Access subscription. And then I always like to tighten up the space quite a bit. And if you're really particular, you can mess with each letter individually, but I personally prefer not to worry about that. It doesn't have to be perfect. It takes a lot of time to do that. So I just squish it together a little bit and we go with that. And then obviously this is a little big, so I'm just going to use this and get it about the size that I'd like. Okay, so we've got that part of it done. Now we want to make the lines for the routine chart. And the way that I make lines is I actually use the square/rectangle shape and turn it into a line. So I will show you. We are going to start with the lines that go vertically. So first of all, I'm going to make this way. First of all, I'm going to unlock it. So now we can make a rectangle. I'm going to make it really a lot more skinny. So it's more like a line. I don't like to go too thin or it gets a little harder to work with once you've got it cut. And then I'm going to make it the length that I'd like. So we're going to take it down all the way, and I like it to touch the bottom of this square right here. So I want to actually be touching, and if it goes over a little, that's fine too. It won't really matter. And let's see, is that height? I feel like that height is pretty good. And then we are going to duplicate this exact line because we want them to be a consistent thickness. So the easiest way to do that is just to go here and click duplicate. And we're just going to duplicate it several times. And this will make our days of the week sections. All right, so then this is where we write the chore, and then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay, that's the proper number of lines. I actually think I'm going to grab all of them and move them over to the left just a tiny bit. So right now I'm just worrying about positioning, selecting them all by holding down Shift, and then I'm just worrying about positioning the leftmost one, kind of where I want it to give enough space to write the different chores. Looks pretty good. Okay, now I'm just going to move this right hand line all the way over to the side of this square. Now, this will get deleted. We don't actually need to cut this because it's the very side line, but I'm going to show you in just a minute. You're going to understand why I needed that line there. So once again, I'm going to select all of the lines, and these are some really cool features that this Cricut design software has for us. So first of all, I want to align them all at the top. So now they all just jumped up there and they're aligned equally at the top. Then this is why I needed this line over here that we're going to remove in just a second, is I want to distribute them horizontally. So that spaces them evenly. I love that feature so much. Just saves a lot of time from trying to go space them yourself. And I'm just going to double check this is the chore, then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Obviously you could do just 5 days if you only wanted to track Monday through Friday. Then we're going to go ahead, we don't need this line anymore, but what I'm actually going to do is hold down shift, hold down that rotate, and get it going the other direction. And I want to use the same line because again I want the same thickness of lines everywhere. Then we're going to start placing our lines going across, and we'll have it touch that's the side of that box right there. And that'll be our top. Oops. Sometimes, yeah, I think it started doing this to me where if you look really, really close, the line looks like it ends early, but it's actually ending at the end of that blue box. Another thing you can do is click this box right here, this inner box, and you'll see that it's 8.534. If you click the line, you'll see that it's 8.514. So if we simply unlock this and type in, it'll be very precise. Okay, so now we know it's the proper length. Now we're going to do all of our steps, and on this particular chart, let's see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different items. So we're going to go ahead and duplicate this and allow for 7 tasks. Again, I'm not worrying that it's like moving it. Okay, so this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We need one more. 7. All right, now I'm going to take this bottom one, and again, this one we're going to delete eventually, but I'm going to bring it all the way down here to the bottom. I'm going to select all of those horizontal lines. And then we do the same magic that we did earlier where I'm going to align them on the left. Now everything's lined up on the left. And then I'm going to distribute them vertically. So now everything is even. And we can go ahead and get rid of that very bottom line right there. And now we have our grid set up. And again, I don't know why it's being a little bit weird here where it's not showing all the way to the end. I'm going to go ahead and also save this. You should always save frequently so you don't lose your work. Next, I'm going to add the text of the routine. And I'm going to get it into the font that I would like. So I'm going to select the, this font is the one that I used. And then we're going to make it a little bit closer together. And also a little bit smaller. So we're going to try, I think I'm going to start with 50 and see what that looks like. And really you want to make sure that your longest phrase is going to fit when you're choosing your font size. And I will also say I had to shorten a couple of phrases so they would fit. So like eat breakfast was too long, so I said eat food. If you're wondering why I said it that way, that's why. I feel like we could use a little bit more spacing there. And then we're still going to struggle. I'm going to start with, actually, I'm going to put in our longest one, which is put on shoes. Okay, so we're going to need it to be quite a bit smaller. We're going to try 28. And a little bit more space once we get down there. Okay, that looks pretty good. And I think we could even go up to 29 or 30 possibly. And the bigger it is, the easier it is to weed and read and all of that. So I'm going to go as big as I can, but still fit in the space. And remember, these lines aren't showing all the way to the edge. Okay, so we've got, and this top left is actually going to be blank because what goes up there are the days of the week. Okay, so we've got that right there, and I'm just eyeballing to see that it's centered, and I'm actually going to change this to say his first task. And this is a 4-year-old, so we get pretty granular on this one, like that every little thing that he needs to do. Get dressed. Now we're going to select all of that text that we just created. I'm going to align it to the left, and then we're going to distribute vertically, even though it was pretty close already. And I sometimes just eyeball it. Like if something feels like it's not centered, go by what it looks like, not by what the software says, because basically you want it to look centered to the eye is your only goal. So if something, sometimes just the way that the letters are, it looks off balance when it's technically centered. So go by what it looks like. All right, and then the only thing that we have left is to add the labels to the days of the week. I'm going to start with Thursday because that's the longest one, and we want to make sure that it fits. And I just do the first 2 letters. Not doing the entire day. Okay, that got way smaller. Oh, we can go a lot bigger. Let's try 28, the similar size as, actually I think we can go all the way up to 30, the same size as the writing. And it'll still fit. That's great. Then we're going to duplicate it. Okay, and then I'm just going to worry about making sure that the one on the right and the left are centered the way that I want it. And again, if I accidentally move the box, I just Command Z because it's easy to accidentally select the box when you're trying to select something else. And the Monday doesn't look very centered. And then I'll show you how to make sure the rest are centered. Okay, I'm not even worrying too much about the up and down. We'll get that taken care of pretty easily. So I'm going to go select each of these. It's way easier to select in the side here. You can select over here on the mat, but that is hard to make your selection precise. So I recommend selecting from this side over here. And then we're going to click Align. We can align it on the bottom to make sure they're all even that way. And then we can distribute horizontally. Okay, so that's pretty close to what I would like it to look like. We're going to go ahead and click Save. Okay, now we are going to do so I'm selecting all the different grid lines and I'm going to weld those together, and that makes for a cleaner look. So I'm just selecting them here on the side. I click the weld button and now they're all one, so it's not going to intersect here and like actually cut through, and I think that makes for a cleaner look. I'm going to make sure that I have welded that all together. That makes it all one piece. And let's see. So the next thing I'm going to do is make everything the same color of vinyl. So we're just going to select everything. I'm going to make this actually a little bit smaller. It's just going to make it a little bit easier to get everything selected. Just drew a box around it all. And then I'm going to change it all to cut with a fill. It needs to be like the same vinyl color. So I've got it all gray. Okay, now we're going to make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so now everything here is the same color vinyl and it's all cut. So everywhere you see a line, it's going to be cutting it all on one sheet. And that's exactly what we want. I'm going to go ahead and save it. And then we get to the fun part where we actually get to cut it. All right, so we are setting up the machine to cut. I've obviously turned the machine on. This is the Cricut blue color vinyl, and I'm just going to cut it into a 12-inch amount so that it fits perfectly on the mat. So this will be a 12 by 12 square. All right, and then I'm using Cricut's light grip mat, and this is one that I've used quite a bit, but they last really forever, and I prefer the light grip for vinyl. Okay, I'm just going to smooth it down onto the mat, and then we're going to go back over. We're going to go to the computer. The first thing that I always need to do is make sure that this machine is hooked up via Bluetooth. I love that feature so that I can use the Cricut even if it's not right next to my computer, especially when I'm using my desktop. All right, looks like it is now connected. Looks like it is connected to Bluetooth, and then I'm going to go back to Cricut Design Space. I've already saved this, so I'm just going to click Make It. And, oh, this shows me one thing that I forgot to do, and this is a very important step, is you need to attach everything because I want it to cut as one big thing. I don't want each element to cut separately. So I'm just going to click Attach, and that kind of makes it all one big thing for you. And then you'll see how it is now cutting all in one. And then I'm just going to click Continue. It's already on the 12 by 12 mat as it should be. I'm just going to choose vinyl. It's always worked perfectly for me, and I love that I don't have to mess with the settings. I just choose, hey, it's vinyl. It's good to go. I already have my blade loaded into clamp B like I'm supposed to, and then it wants me to load my mat. These mats actually can load in either direction, which I really like, so the direction isn't important. Make sure you slide it right under the little guides there, hold it against it, and then press the flashing button. It's loaded in now. And then it asks me to press the go button. So I do that, and it is going to send it to cut. So for this part of our back to school project, and I think it fits in really well with the routine charts that I just made, I'm going to make a clipboard wall to sort all of those papers that come in instead of having to just pile them up on the flat surfaces. And I'm going to use the same type of clipboards. We'll be hanging them. I'll show you with this part. So all I'm going to do is use vinyl to apply what the clipboard is holding on it. So what I'm going to do is I just have a blank piece of 8.5 by 11 paper, and I'm going to go ahead and put it on the clipboard so that I know what amount of space I have to work with that will be showing when the clipboard actually has paper on it. And it's not a whole lot of space. I'll just have this part right down here, if you can see that, to work with. So it won't be real big. I did consider putting the labels on the wall itself, but what I realized is, we're going to take these clipboards down, and so I want the identifying factor to be right on the clipboard. I want to be able to rearrange them. So we're just going to put a little vinyl right at the bottom of the clipboard to identify what's being held on that board. And so it's real flexible. Since it's small, it'll be easy to take off, put on a new label if I need that. So all I'm going to do is measure this area so I know what I have to work with. So obviously, we've already measured the width, which on this particular clipboard is just shy of 9 inches. And then the amount of space I have below the paper is just shy of 1 1/4 inches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to my blank project here in Cricut Design Space, and I'm going to go ahead and give myself a square of that size. So I'm going to click the little unlock icon, and I'm going to say, since it's just shy of 9 inches, I'm going to go with 8.75 just to be safe. And we said that this was just shy of 1 1/4. So I'm going to do 1.1 just to be extra safe. We don't want it to be too big. So that is the amount of space. Now I can see what I am working with. And then I'm going to change it to draw right quick. I just like to do this so I can see it more easily what I'm working with. And then I'm going to grab the text, and the first one that I am going to put is Savannah School Papers. So put it in there, and then I'm going to go ahead and choose the font that I want to use for this. And oh wow, there's so many options. I actually think that since at times we'll have them hanging side by side, I like the idea of using the same font that I use for my routine chart, but you could pick any font you want. Then I always like to make this a little bit closer. I feel like it's way too spread apart. Again, you could really fine tune this if you wanted. I usually don't mess with that. Just like to have it all together. And then I think this will be the longest word. So I think that I'm okay there. If you had a longer word, you want to start with that to make sure they're a consistent size and that your longest word fits. And then I personally would like to see this line up with the side. Like, I don't want them centered on the bottom. I want them to start on the left side. You can do whatever you want. And then I'm going to go ahead and change this back to a cut with the same fill, the same material. And then I'm going to weld the text right here. It needs to be welded. So that's got that all connected in one piece, and then it'll cut this square around it. That square we actually won't place on there, but it's helpful for weeding purposes. So I will go ahead and leave that on there. And I'm going to go ahead and to make things faster, I am going to put all of my different labels for all the clipboards on one piece of vinyl and just get them all cut at once. So we can go ahead and duplicate this. All right, so this has cut. I think it took it roughly 10 minutes. And I know you can't probably see anything on here. I like to leave it, if I don't need the mat for something else, I actually like to leave it on the mat while I weed it. I actually think that is an easier way than taking it off first and then weeding it. So I'm going to go ahead and take off the side here. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and start here at the top. And because I've got this weeding box, it makes it a lot easier to weed this part. All right, so I got this weeded. And now we're gonna put the transfer tape on. I like to just cut it a little bit bigger than the actual project first, so it's easier to work with. And I love how this transfer tape has grid lines, so it makes it super easy to cut where you want. And this cut, doesn't need to be straight because it's only used for the transfer tape. Okay. And then what I like to do is kind of start at the bottom with the sticky part folded back, because if you try to stick the entire thing down, it'll wrinkle pretty easily and that'll make it hard to transfer cleanly. So that's why I prefer to just start here at the bottom and then kind of go up with my sticking. And I mean, once it's down, it is down. So there is no straightening it out. Even if there are wrinkles, like there are, that's okay. The wrinkles, you're gonna lift this up, so just let them be. And as long as the vinyl itself is not wrinkled, it should be relatively okay. All right, so we're applying the transfer tape. It is ideal to have 2 people. I want to note this is their strong grip transfer tape, and it's not necessarily the ideal transfer tape for vinyl, but this is what I had and it does work. But you need to keep it taut, because if you get wrinkles in it, your whole design will be wrinkly.
That still would help.
Yeah, it would. And this is going pretty good. Bigger hands. Okay, then we get the smoothing tool. There's still a little bit of wrinkles, but we hope that those are acceptable amount of wrinkles. Well, that's a piece of cake.
Yep.
So far. Famous last words.
Got it.
Let's be kind of slow about it.
There's a hair.
It's okay.
I'll take this side.
This is where you need 2 people, because the key is you have to hold it tight so that the vinyl won't wrinkle and go straight on. As soon as it starts to stick, it is stuck. So, and then I'm going to put my side down first. Good job. Then in order to take off the vinyl, you want to get it started, and then you want to kind of pull it straight back on itself, so that what you don't want to do is pull up like this, because that will actually bring the vinyl up instead of leaving it down like you're wanting. This requires a lot of strength. Anyway, so that's fine. Okay, now this blue here is simply as a guide to position it. So then we're going to remove this positioning square. I just think it's a nicer look to have that removed. So we're going to do that. Comes off super easily. And here is the finished routine chart. So some of you might be wondering about how we use dry erase and wet erase. So first of all, this isn't a clipboard that I just used the other day to make a list. Sometimes I just use them kind of like whiteboards. I was making a list of some clothes that my daughter needs, and I used this wet erase Erin Condren marker. And what I like about the wet erase is like I can run my hand over it and it's not going to smear. So that is one thing, like as I'm writing, it's not smearing. It will also work with a dry erase. So I'll show you that. So this is just a fine point dry erase. And as you can see, it smears very, very easily. It erases with a normal eraser. This wet erase over here, it doesn't erase with a normal eraser. All you have to do is actually use, this is just a wet wipe, and I'm going to show you how it erases. Just like that. So for my kids, I will probably use the dry erase just so that we don't get a bunch of stuff on the vinyl when we're trying to use a wet wipe like this. So on here, you will have this hanging on the wall, and when Timothy does something, he can just check it off right there, and we're good to go. He'll check it off each day. I went through Sunday. You obviously could just go through Friday, and then I like these markers have a little eraser on the end, but of course you could use a paper towel or whatever you would like to erase and start over the next week. So here are the words that I cut out to go at the bottom of these clipboards, and I'm just going to apply them with transfer tape similar to how I did the routine chart. I hope these projects have helped given you some ideas for how you can get organized for back to school season, no matter what that looks like for you. And I would love to know in the comments, let me know if you use this tutorial to make something, or if this just inspired you to make something similar. I would love to hear about it.